It's hard to imagine, but in the early to mid-1900s, the wild turkey was extinct throughout the state of Iowa. But thanks to concerned wildlife conservationists and reintroduction efforts, the wild turkey population is holding on strong. In fact, I was able to interview the man whose efforts are the reason why there are so many turkeys in this part of the state.
Hello.
Hi Dennis, this is Caleb McIntyre. Care if I just run through these questions quick?
No, go right ahead.
Thanks. So first question is, how many birds were released and what was the main goal with reintroducing them?
I don't know. Probably 2 toms and half a dozen hens.
Yeah. Well, it says here.
But that's I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, it says here there were 10 hens and 3 tom wild turkeys that you guys released between Five Ridge and Hillview.
Oh, okay. I thought they were 2 separate stockings, two different years.
Yeah, it was. So.
Oh, okay.
And then,
okay.
What was kind of the main goal with reintroducing them?
Oh, just to get a species that was once in the area back reintroduced. Well, I don't know if they were ever native because, Plymouth County was a prairie county. If you date the Bur Oak woodlands, they're all less than now they're probably 100 years old. But
yeah.
Most of the country was prairie. So, the turkeys would have probably been along the river, the Floyd and the Big Sioux River. And because there was a lot more timber along that.
Would you mind giving me a brief description of why this was allowed to take place in this area? Because I think you told me as we were talking on the bench that they were concerned about whether or not there were already turkeys here or if this was allowed and all that.
Yeah, the DNR wildlife biologists at the time had to do a survey to make sure there was no existing population of turkeys because they didn't want to introduce a different genetics into the area if that was possible. And because they determined they couldn't find any turkeys, and the DNR did not have a real presence in our county because Deer Creek Wildlife Area hadn't been acquired at that time yet. So the DNR did not own any property in Plymouth County. Plymouth County Conservation Board owned all the public land in the county. And so and Five Ridge Prairie at the time was the largest dedicated state preserve and also the largest tract of publicly owned prairie in the state. The Nature Conservancy hadn't come into the area either at that time.
Yeah.
So we were the major public natural resource agency.
Okay.
In the late 70s and 80s.
Were you concerned about the habitat, or did you just kind of release the turkeys, or was there preparation for the habitat, or were you kind of just like, okay, we're putting birds into this area and we'll see how they thrive?
That's basically it, because that's what it was. The Iowa Conservation Commission at that time. It hadn't changed names. That was their whole stocking premise was, and they thought it had to be large, contiguous tracts of timber, and eventually they determined that they could stock turkeys on small, isolated pockets of timber and get a small flock established.
Okay.
And they did that until their stocking program ended. Once they determined that the reintroduction has been successful, we don't need to do this anymore.
Was there a lot of support from the public on this, or were people kind of anti-reintroduction, or?
No, we had good public support on it.
Okay. So were there like different agencies that were involved, or funding, or stuff like that, or how did?
There was no funding. It was just pick up the boxes with the turkeys in them and get them out and release them as fast as you can so they didn't become imprinted on humans.
Okay, yeah, because you guys didn't want to deal with a bunch of domestic birds that would probably become fried turkeys out there. But any bobcat or coyote.
Yeah, they would end up in people's backyards. Probably wouldn't have been a successful venture.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's good that there was a lot of support from the community, and I take it other conservation organizations as well.
Well, like the only other organizations in Plymouth County was the Lamar Sportsman's Club. That was about it. So
Okay.
They were supportive.
Good.
If you've got the copies of the newspaper articles, you know what the press thought about it.
Yep. So, and obviously the turkey reintroduction to this part of the state was a success. As a biologist, did the success meet or exceed your goals? I mean, you told me your main goal was kind of just to get turkeys like reestablished in the state, but do you feel like the population is too big now, or it's just right, or it met your goal?
Well, it met my personal goals. I can't, I've been out of Iowa for almost 10 years now. I don't know what the current level of population is.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming between hunting and natural predation that the population is at its threshold, and unless there's a major weather event during nesting season, that would probably be the more limiting factor than hunting and predation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't drive over the county in the spring without seeing at least one tom or several hens. So I would say the population is through the roof. I mean,
I think they're doing better than pheasants.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, I think
pheasants are exotic, and turkeys are native. So
yeah. So, on a personal level, is there anything that you'd like to mention about your satisfaction looking back on your work, like as far as like what you did for conservation, what you did for the turkey reintroduction, and all that?
Yeah. No, I had a good time. The best thing I got a text message after the fire week. It just said that my comments and some, I forget how it was worded. It was about my comments and my leadership was well respected, and I hadn't lost my knack of fire.
Yeah.
So that was a good attribute that I really appreciated hearing that.
Yeah. No, it's a story that needs to be told, and you did a phenomenal job, especially for the state and for conservation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I told Derek and Nick. I'm like, this story needs to be told because it's like I was telling you, it's right up there with the Pennsylvania elk, and any story where reintroduction was a success, either with Pennsylvania elk or Iowa turkeys, is something that needs to be told and shared because it's just awesome how so many men can come together and put things back for hunters to enjoy and for your average outdoorsman or bird watcher just to enjoy. So for future generations.
Well, and we weren't the only agency involved. It happened all throughout the state of Iowa. So, we were just active in Plymouth County, but a lot of other organizations were involved too.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'll let you get running. Thanks for letting me take up a little bit of your time and all that. So.
Okay, well, good to meet you.